Hello and welcome back to Picture Astrology. In this quick snap video, we will talk about placement of Ketu in the 8th house of a horoscope. And 8th house, as you know, is one of the most mysterious houses in any chart. And at the same time, Ketu is another planet which is no less mysterious. So the combination of these two actually makes for a very interesting reading. And especially in Eastern cultures where people are somewhat aware about Vedic astrology, this position sometimes evoke a lot of curiosity and sometimes even fear about longevity or lifespan of the person. So this will be the first thing we will talk about in this video. And next, 8th house, as I said, is full of mystery and it is closely related to your spiritual activities. It is also closely related to money making abilities because 8th house is the house of other people's money, or even money which is called as unearned money which you don't have to make efforts to earn, which can indicate things like inheritance or lottery or other quick and easy gains, or even gains from really unusual means. So we'll talk about this and much more in next few minutes. So let's begin by talking about longevity or lifespan of a person. So many people who worry about this Ketu's impact on lifespan can actually relax, because just the presence of Ketu here in any ways does not curtail the longevity. That is not true. And it is a good time to remember about some of the basic rules which we discussed in the initial videos of Rahu-Ketu series related to the interpretation of these points, because these are primarily the catalyst who can accelerate or decelerate the promise of a horoscope. And there are umpteen number of cases with people who have this kind of Ketu have enjoyed really long lifespan. Actually, there is no correlation other than, as I said, the original promise of the horoscope. That is the most important thing when it comes to prediction about this aspect. However, there is another important aspect of 8th house which should be known as life energies. So 8th house is like the spark plug which can ignite the engine. Now, engine in the body is definitely the ascendant or the first house because it shows that something has born. But 8th house shows how quickly you get motivated and jump into action. And in fact, it is a combination of 8th house and 3rd house, because 3rd house is actually 8th from 8th. So if you count 8 houses from this place, you will reach to the 3rd house. And there are some other aspect of 3rd house too, like this is the house which shows the beginning of your thought process or how much thought you put in before taking actions. And anyways, 3rd house is known as the house of parakrama or taking initiatives. So basically the 8th house and 3rd house together can say a lot about how quickly a person jumps into action. Especially the 8th house is like this spark plug, as I said, of an engine. And Ketu's presence here is somewhat of a dicey position. Sometimes these people could be very motivated, very active about doing things, and some other times they could be quite subdued or lazy, because see, Ketu, though a malefic and generally called as similar to Mars, that is, it's a fiery planet, yet unlike Rahu, this is a planet which shows suppression. This is a planet of introvert people who are more emotional rather than rational. So one thing you can clearly draw out is that most of the times the motivation for them to spring into actions come out of their emotions and not the logical thinking. The 8th house Ketu can also make a person really emotional, at least in a sense that they rely more on their intuition. 8th house Ketu is closely associated with intuition, especially when there are Jupiter aspect or 8th house lord conjoining this Ketu or in some way aspecting it. So that can really fire intuition of a person in many different ways. On the flip side, it can show person's over-reliance on emotions and rest reliant on logic. And now since we were talking about intuition, it is a good segue to talk about the impact of Ketu in the spirituality aspect of a person. Now definitely 8th house is the house of occult, all things unheard and unseen. And Ketu's presence here can definitely spark a lot of interest in occultism. But as always, this is not the guarantee. Just by this placement, you cannot say that the person will always be interested in occult. I have seen people with this placement of Ketu being absolutely extremely practical and extremely over-reliant on logic or rational. So basically this is not, just the deciding factor. But yes, it is a great catalyst which can push people into occultism of many different kinds, especially because Rahu is present in the 2nd house, which is the house of your speech. If 2nd house or 2nd lord is well placed, or if it is associated with, say, some planet like Venus, and Venus in Indian mythology is known as the teacher or guru of demons, and it is a planet closely related to mantra shakti, mantra, tantra, and mantra basically means the sound energies, the way people use their speech. And in Western countries, obviously it can relate to different kind of occult practices like witchcraft, etc. But generally speaking, since 8th house is also known as the house of your Kundalini, this is the place which hosts it, this is the powerhouse of spiritual energy, and Ketu's presence here can stir this Kundalini in a very strong and powerful way. Now what happens is, the energy which can push a person, which is the Kundalini energy, towards spirituality can also push a person towards extreme physical pleasures which can result in addictions. So this is the reason why Ketu in 8th house could lead a person to either direction, either towards the spiritual side or on the totally opposite side. And the reason is because this is a place, as I said, which really energizes or activates the spiritual source of energy, the basic source. And since the Lord of Ketu as well as the Kundalini is known as the Lord Ganesha, and therefore any spiritual practice or any worship of Lord Ganesha can be very helpful in alleviating any negative influences of this Ketu. And needless to say, mantra related to Lord Ganesh could be really powerful, because we just saw that how this placement of Ketu and Rahu is very conducive towards mantra shakti. Now another important aspect of 8th house is that it can show your genetic pattern. Now if you have seen my earlier videos of Rahu and Ketu, we know that Rahu and Ketu are related to DNAs of a person, very closely related to. And at the same time, 8th house, the occult house, hosting the planet like Ketu, at least I have personally seen horoscopes with people who either have some kind of genetic specialty with which they are born, or there is some kind of thing which flows from one generation to another. Now they can also be some physical issues, because obviously Ketu is the mother side DNA, or they can simply be the extreme spiritual practices which people follow from generation to generation. And in any ways, the 8th house is the house of your hidden sexual organs, your excretory systems. So placement of Ketu here can easily give troubles related to these parts. And the other thing with again Ketu in 8th house is that they are difficult to understand, they are difficult to fathom, and therefore many times some of the physical issues which this placement can cause will be hard to track. It becomes difficult for doctors to figure out the root cause of a problem due to this placement of Ketu. But again, we should not forget the basic rule, which is Rahu and Ketu being catalysts, so some promise of those kind of issues has to be present in the horoscope. So So friends, this was my quick analysis of placement of Ketu in the 8th house. I really hope these few minutes would have been time well spent for you. And if it's so, please consider liking my channel and subscribing to it to continue to get updates like this. I thank you again for your time and being with me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.